All right. I'm just going to share this on some platforms, and then we will be ready to go.
Awesome.
We are live.
Cool.
Okay. Here we go. Share.
Do your sons play?
Um, the younger one does not. He plays basketball. I actually was a basketball coach before I started with chess with my oldest son,
Okay. Oh,
and
cool.
I didn't want him to play basketball, so that's why we got into chess.
Okay.
That's the only reason. Well, I mean, of course, we picked chess because of the benefits of the game, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And we're from the inner city of Detroit, where there's not many options, and a lot of kids think the only option is to play basketball, deal drugs, be a rapper. I didn't want him to be that way, so I wanted him to do something that aided his life in another way. So
Nice.
that's what happened, and now he is second year University of Michigan, um, art major. He's running his own business. He's doing his thing, man.
Oh
So
man, congratulations to him. That's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. And that's because of chess, man. Directly, it's directly because of chess with us, for sure. I can attest to that. That's my
Yeah.
testimony for sure.
Well, that's
Um,
really cool. I mean, that. I mean, like, and most people just think of it as a game, right? But it can have this kind of profound impact on someone's life. It's the chess is amazing, right?
yes, it is the
Yeah.
best game ever, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't play it as a kid. I started when I in my 20s.
Mm.
Funny thing is, if I would have played it as a kid, oh my goodness, I would have definitely liked it because I was a kid that used to memorize baseball stats on the back of baseball cards by
Oh
myself.
wow. Okay.
Only child, that's the only child's
Yeah.
game for sure.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
so I missed the boat with that game.
Yeah.
My thing was Monopoly, but Monopoly compared to chess, oh my goodness. you know,
Yeah. Bit of a different league, I guess. The two games, but
that's right.
yeah. Oh, you're a baseball fan then?
Yeah, man, I'm a sports guy, but baseball
Yeah.
was my
Oh, you're
number one.
basketball,
Uh
of
huh.
course. Then. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you
I'm
like
a big.
baseball?
Yeah, I'm a big baseball fan. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right. All right, we're gonna get into the interview because
All right.
we go, let's go ahead and start. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
cool.
good to go.
All right, I'm going to switch. Once you see our screen, that's when it will start. Okay. I'm checking the sound and make sure there's no additional sounds in the background. Check, 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 check. Good. All right.
Checkmate.
All right. What's going on, Michigan Chess Association? We are here live. This is a live interview. And excuse the background. My background just went bananas here. I don't know what it's doing. Okay, there you go. That's much better. All right. Hope you guys like the new background. We are here representing the Michigan Monsters. Of course, we were supposed to have a tournament game tonight against the Oklahoma whatever. I don't even know why. I don't even know why these guys don't have like nicknames like Oklahoma something. If you just have an Oklahoma chess team with no flair, you have no nickname, you're bound for defeat anyway. But unfortunately, they had the Oklahoma State Championship this weekend, and the guys say they were too tired to play us this week. But that's okay. We get another win. We beat Ohio last year. I mean, no, last week, and this week we played Oklahoma. We get a forfeit win there. And I believe we have a break the next week, guys. So there will be no Michigan, no States Cup this coming week. So enjoy your 4th of July. But guess what we have instead? We have a great guest with us. One of the teammates, one of my teammates, because I actually had to play. It was weird. I like to stream. I had to play, and he was my teammate when we played Ohio, and I didn't blow it for the team. I almost did. I tried the hardest to blow the match, but I didn't. And we have here Dr. Devin Camenares. Did I say your last name right?
Yeah, you got it. You got
Okay.
it. And thanks for having me here, Ryan. It's a real pleasure. So, yeah, that's you got the last name right.
Okay, and so let's get into it. You are this is your second year playing in the States Cup.
Yeah.
And what I like to do in these interviews for Michigan Chess Association, shout out to Jeff Aldridge, the president of the Michigan Chess Association, all the board members, shout out to Stan, to Sal, to Kevin Fight, Angelo, Fleming. Shout out to everybody on that board. If I miss your name, shout out to everybody. We really appreciate your support. And this is a part of our new social media part of the Michigan Chess Association. And so Devin is second year playing for the Michigan Monsters in the States Cup. But what we like to do here is not only do we like to get into the chess games, we will get into the chess games eventually, but we want to get into your background. We want to get into your background because you are a migrant to Michigan. You live here in Michigan now. I want to get into how it all started. Like, where were you born? Like, are you? I know that you have roots in New York, but are you born in New York there, or did you like migrate to New York as well?
Yeah, no, I was born in New York, so actually born in Brooklyn. I didn't live in Brooklyn long. I moved out to Long Island when I was only one. So I grew up in Long Island, about an hour east of New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, not a lot of chess activity out there, but there's some. But yeah, I grew up in Long Island. I went as an undergraduate. I went to Rutgers, New Jersey. Went back to New York for grad school, and it's only been the past about 3.5 years, or almost about 3 years, I think, that I've been in Michigan. So
Wait, Devin, hold on, man. We gotta go back, right?
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
now you're in New York. Okay, you're born
Yep.
in what many consider the greatest city or state in the world. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you're an hour outside of a big city in Long Island. How was it coming up in Long Island? Were you middle class? Was it kind of tough coming up? How was that?
Yeah, it was more or less middle class. I mean, I think kind of the situation changed throughout the years. Maybe started off a one range in the middle class, and my parents did well and moved up a little bit, but mostly middle class, I'd say. And I had a pretty good childhood. I lived in a suburban neighborhood, had friends to play with, things like that. So, yeah, pretty much kind of middle of the road, I guess, in that way.
Now who taught you the game? Was it your grandfather? Was it your father? And I don't know, it seems like when we ask these questions, it seems kind of sexist to not say, because I know some people that have been taught by their grandmothers or their mother. Who taught you how to play? Maybe it was a friend.
Actually, my mother taught me how to play.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Because was your mother a killer at the game, or how was she?
She was. I mean, my folks would be able to play. They didn't compete. They weren't rated. Didn't play in any tournaments. But that's where I first learned the game. We would play, a bunch of board games growing up. I was an only child until I was about 7.5, and I had a younger brother. So, we played different board games. I learned when I was a little kid, though. That's when my parents showed me how to play the game. So,
okay,
they got me one of these. You see them now. Sometimes you can still find them in the dollar store. I think that's where they got them for me. It's about yay big, one of those little cheap plastic magnetic sets.
Yep.
Made in China kind of thing. And I used to carry that around, and some of my friends knew how to play, so we would play. We didn't really know what we were doing. right? We had no idea of tournaments or anything like that. So we just play chess sometimes. It's just another board game for most of my childhood. Yeah.
So did your brother also play the game chess as well?
Yeah, he did. Some of my friends did. I actually remember there was occasions where in in elementary school during lunch break, I would sometimes bring the set and we'd play. I'd play with some of the other kids in the class, and I guess I had some sort of a little bit of natural talent for the game or something because I would tend to beat everybody in the class. I mean, they actually had. I have some memories of um, we're eating lunch and I'm on one side of the lunch bench and there's like a consultation game going on. I have about 20 of my classmates trying to figure out how to beat me. So it was pretty cool, but I never really thought much of it. I was just, all right, I'm kind of good at this game and it's just another board game. And I, played video games and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't too much into sports, not least until later, but so I played a lot of games, a lot of board games.
Okay. And so now you've got introduced to the game,
Yeah.
and now I would guess, when did you actually start to compete? Like, your friends and your family, you were eventually better than them. You had to
Yeah.
go out to find some better competition at some point. Tell me about
Yeah.
your first experience with your first competition outside of your family and friends.
Sure. So I again, like most of my growing up, most of my childhood, I just didn't really think much of it. And then I was in a class in high school, which was basically a joke. It was some sort of business class, but the teacher didn't teach anything, so I had about 45 minutes to do nothing, right? So sitting next to the same group of friends every day. One of them decided to bring a chess set, so then we started playing regularly. It was like every day, this time in school, we're gonna play some chess, and I started to notice some patterns. Then I went out, I bought Chess for Dummies, my very first chess book, so I learned about some basic tactics and things like that. It was actually kind of cool. I remember that when I was reading the book, and there'd be things like you should attack F7 or F2, right? It's the weakest point in the position. Those are some things that I kind of like just by playing a bunch, kind of figured out on my own. And so then I got excited about it. I started reading more, started playing a little bit online. I still remember playing on Yahoo Chess. I'm sure I have a set of PDN files somewhere that are really embarrassing. So then I started like learn a little bit more about it, picked up some basic strategies and tactics, but it really didn't take off for me until I went to college. So at that point, I was like kind of interested in playing it. I would try and seek out people who could play. And I know I might be fast forwarding it a bit, but this is where it sort of, I guess, gets interesting in chess wise. I noticed one of the professors on campus at Rutgers played chess, so I sent him a message. I said, "Do you want to play a game?" So he invited me to his office one day. He pulls out his little set, and we play a game, and he totally crushes me. And then I noticed his office. He has this huge bookshelf with over 100 books on it, let's say, and half of the books are chess books. I had no idea how involved the game could be, and I thought like Chess for Dummies, that's it, right? Like it's the only book that's out there. Mm-hmm. So what he would do is he would Xerox me stuff from his book, and then the next week he said, "Come back next week and we'll play." And then he would test me on those lines, right? He'd play those opening lines or positions against me. And so I kind of got hooked that way. I had sort of a de facto chess coach. This guy was Michael Goeller or Goeller. Not actually sure how to pronounce his last name. Mm-hmm. It's a Goeller. He was a strong player. He was at his peak like 2000 plus, maybe like 2050 or something like that. About what I am now, actually, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And so I just would play with him. Every week, started to get a little stronger. Then I would play online, practice to I want to try and beat this guy. So, read up on the stuff he gives me. And eventually he told me about some chess clubs that were in New Jersey. So then we started taking trips out there. And so he really kind of, was my first real mentor in the game and kind of helped me along that way. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
And by the way, that now you learn you had this de facto chess coach, as you say, and that's how it happens a lot of times. It happened to me the same way, not the exact same way because it wasn't in college, but there's always someone that comes around that takes you to that next level or gives you, you know what I mean, that information.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. And so now you're at Rutgers University. Now you go on from there to Stony Brook University, correct?
Yep.
And in Stony Brook, is this where you get your doctorate at Stony Brook?
Yeah.
And guys, this guy has a doctorate in molecular biology. Oh my God! Round of applause. Round of applause for that, guys. Molecular biology. And so, what I want to know is, do you think there is any connection with STEM and chess? Is it just that the kids that are attracted to STEM will go towards chess, or vice versa? What is it? Is chess helping those kids getting to those fields, or is it just an attraction to that game? It just happened to be that you might be in that field. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it could be a little bit of both. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but actually in my case, I can say that I didn't really get into chess in a significant way until I was in college. And so I already had this focus of going into STEM. I was really interested in computer programming in high school, and then that interest morphed into molecular biology and biotech and stuff like that. So I already was on a STEM path. And I do remember feeling like playing chess and diving into chess helped me in my math courses. I think I was able to visualize what was going on and how to solve some of those math problems better. At least that's kind of what it felt like to me. And as I've continued to improve in chess, I feel like and like my wife will tell you now that there's things like chess moves or numbers or things like that. I'll be able to remember those. I can't remember anything else, or I don't remember take out the trash or something, let's say. But I think it's kind of trained my mind to help think in a certain way. So kind of went hand in hand, right? I would have been doing those things in a STEM field anyway, but it reinforced it with chess. And I've noticed there's a lot of times where, let's say I'm working on my chess. I don't really work on my chess the way that most people say you should, or very hard, but I'll be, let's say, solving endgame studies or something. And I'll notice that I keep missing the solution to these studies. And I'll say, oh, okay, it's because I'm not calculating deep enough, right? I'm getting lazy at, oh, this move looks good, and then that's fine. And this is like an example of this and a lot of other things. I realize when I figure out what I'm doing wrong on the chessboard, I'm making those same mistakes in the lab, in my life. I'm not really following through on details, or I'm not, managing my time well, which is something that happens to me a lot in Blitz. So I really feel like chess has helped me a lot, because it's this way I can do this self-improvement in a really concrete way, which, is not always obvious in other areas of life. So I've used this as a way to reflect not only on, what am I doing and what are mistakes I'm making in the chessboard, but maybe those are just things that I'm making mistakes on in general. Right.
Right. All right. And so, now you are deep into your career.
Yep.
And then you move from New York in 2018. You take that trip and move to Michigan. And now you now work as a professor at Alma College. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I was teaching as a professor in New York for a few years. I was teaching at Kingsborough Community College over in Brooklyn. So actually only a stone's throw from where I was born and first lived. Actually, I could tell you a little bit something else about that position. I was working in Brooklyn, and for anybody who's familiar with New York will sort of get the horror of this, but I was living in Yonkers at the time. So I had to basically travel through the entire city every day to get to my job, and I would spend several hours each way on the subway. Right, it could be like 2.5 hours each way to get to work.
Okay.
So this actually is also an important piece in my chess improvement, because I would just be solving tactics and, playing blitz or something. I mean, what else are you going to do on the train, right? So
Pay attention.
yeah, well, yeah. Well, obviously, you want to be able to
I
be
heard
aware.
about those trains. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and no, that's absolutely true. And growing up, I would sometimes take trips to the city, and I know that you got to be aware of your surroundings. And my wife actually was born and raised in Manhattan, so she knows, and I would get that from her too, in terms of like how to be alert and take care of yourself on public transportation. But I'd spent a lot of time doing that. But I mean, that kind of was not a great. It was great for my chess, but it wasn't great for a lot of other things, spending that much time every day on the train. So I got this opportunity to teach at a small college in mid-Michigan, at a town college named Alma. Mm-hmm. And it's about an hour north of Lansing, the capital. So it was really like they wanted me to come in and teach and do the things that I was trying to do anyway in New York, and better quality of life. So, New York is an incredible place. It was great for chess. I would go to the Marshall, played at some other chess clubs in the area. So I do miss the chess in New York.
Breaks. Breaks.
Yeah.
Devin thought he was going to actually skip over that he played games at the Marshall.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a chess show, by the way.
Yes, that's
and
right.
That is New York you're talking about.
Yeah.
So give me a crazy story or a really good story from your days playing at the Marshall.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I have all these tournaments I played. I played at the Long Island Chess Club. I played at the Westchester Chess Club. So, oh man, there are a lot of crazy stories there. One of the ones that sticks in my mind, and I have ones I can tell you from Jersey too, because I played at the Kenilworth Chess Club when I was at Rutgers, and met some pretty interesting characters there too. So actually, one of the people I would play with sometimes there is Tom Bartel, who was, I think,
I've heard of him
in Pennsylvania last year, and another guy in Jersey named Brian Minders, who's actually a pretty strong player.
Have you ever met John Federick?
No, never had a chance of meeting him.
Okay.
Heard of him, but
yeah.
Bunch of crazy stories. So, I remember there was one time me and some of the other guys that played chess, like I just mentioned, in New Jersey, we broke into someone's house that we knew had a chess set. And so we were drinking screwdrivers at like 3 a.m, just playing blitz games of chess, which was just absolutely insane. Like I would never do these kinds of things. I'm like actually pretty a straight-laced type of person, but when it comes to chess, like I don't care. If there's a chessboard, I'll go do something risky.
Right.
So there's another story I like to tell. When playing in the Long Island Chess Club, I don't remember the guy's name, but I had an opponent one night for a tournament game, and he was busted, like down a piece after move 6. And the whole game, every move, he spent about a minute just shaking his head, going, "That's it, it's done. I'm lost. I might as well resign. It's over. I have no chance." Plays a move. Make my reply. The whole same thing all over again. I'm thinking, why don't you just resign? So everybody's had those thoughts, but this guy kept saying it. And I have some crazy stories like that. Had some pretty neat games at the Marshall, some terrible losses, but some nice games as well. I drew Jay Bonin, who's like one of the active players there. Actually, what's his name? I'm gonna mispronounce it which is gonna be bad, but Hans Niemann, who's like this, like really up and coming star, and I think he's a GM now.
He just played in wow, yeah, he's a GM now. He just played recently. I think it was the National Open, and he had a good showing. Actually, I think he played in Las Vegas recently. Yes. Yeah,
and I've seen some of his games. I mean, he's a great player. I was fortunate enough when he was younger to get a notch win against him at the Marshalls. That was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably think of some others. I got to play Maurice Ashley, Grandmaster Ashley, in a
Oh, I know
out
him.
of
I know him personally.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him. I love when he streams. I mean, both on Twitch and then also the commentary he does
Who's
for
better in
channel.
commentary? I'm telling you. I mean,
Yeah,
he just
I know.
shout out to Maurice, and your Knicks still suck. Just because your Knicks got to the playoffs this year, your Knicks are terrible. I know he'll
Yeah,
be tuning into this because we talk about the Knicks and the Pistons,
I,
but yeah.
yeah. I mean, and I know some people give him hate online, but I think he's a great commentator, and he makes it exciting, right? What else can you ask for?
That
Uh,
combination with him and Yasser and Jennifer,
oh yeah,
that's the
Yassi's
best
great too.
combination you can get, man. I'm telling you, I've watched
Yeah,
all the broadcasts overseas, whatever it might be. Nothing is
yeah,
better than them three.
I
And I'm
agree.
not being biased.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a really really good team.
Yeah.
They just the way that they all sort of talk about the game differently, and
Yep.
the banter they have. I agree. I love watching
Yep. That's right.
love watching those. Yeah,
All right. So you're in New York playing all these. I mean, because in New York, chess is culture in New York, man.
yeah,
I just love it there. Where like I wouldn't live there because I think I would fall so much in love with chess it would be detrimental, because it's like chess tournaments everywhere every day. You can get a good game with a strong player. Like in Michigan,
yeah.
we don't have a grandmaster. Our only grandmaster moved to Atlanta, which is Ben Feingold, and we have like Atuya Shetty and Safal Bora and Edward Song, who are all IMs. They potentially will be grandmasters because they're all young, but right now we don't. But in New York, you can like trip over grandmasters. There's so many
Yeah,
of
that's
them,
true.
and you can go in open tournaments and always get a chance to test your strength against some of the top players in the world in that state, and
Yeah,
that's how Nakamura came up. His father is currently living there and teaching there, Sunil, and
yep.
so Nakamura, who was I believe born in Hawaii, but was really pretty much raised up in the city of New York as well. So I mean, it's such a great culture there. So now you come to Michigan. Not only do you come to Michigan, who doesn't have as great of a chess culture, but you're going to Alma, Michigan, who
Yeah.
is really way outside of the scope when it comes to a big city and chess. Even though you have Lansing there, but so far away from Detroit where you have some options.
Right.
What did you do to like get some good games when you moved to Michigan? And I know you moved a little bit before the pandemic. You only had about probably a year before things started to
Yeah.
go wrong as far as over the board play. So did you get a chance to play any over the board play when you came to Michigan?
I did, yeah, and you're right. New York has a lot of great options. I mean, if I stayed there, I probably would have went broke because you can play, like a tournament in the Marshall every weekend or every other day if you wanted to, but it adds up. But yeah, Michigan. I haven't really traveled much outside the state for chess, so I haven't gone to like play at the Chicago Open or anything like that. Maybe one day I will, but I've tried to stay closer to home, and really Lansing has been the main choice. So, they'll have a few tournaments a year, right? Like the Michigan Open. I think actually the one that's going to be in Labor Day is in Lansing. So I'm definitely going to be trying to play in that. So I've gotten only a few like real tournament games in. And the only other one would be the Lansing Chess Club that they would meet informally once a week. And then like every month have a small tournament. And I unfortunately found out about them too late. So I only got to play there a little bit. But yeah, that's really been the only kind of serious over the board play I've been able to get. I'll get some games with students here. Some of them are not bad,
Mm-hmm.
they play online or they're interested, but nobody who's really playing in tournaments. I'm most likely the strongest player in the whole city of Alma. I mean, I have to be. I can't imagine
Mm-hmm.
there's somebody sort of like hiding and grandmaster
No,
and
no,
hiding,
man.
right?
You are the strongest. You are
But
the champ there,
yeah.
guaranteed.
So yeah, so that has been tough, right?
Yeah,
I have to play online. I don't get a chance to play in person, and I miss it. I
yeah.
definitely that's one of the few things I miss about New York. And I don't miss the traffic, the prices, like pretty much anything else. But maybe the food, the variety of food you can get in New York, also much better than out in Alma. But like you said, I could travel to the city. I'm going to be trying to go down to Ann Arbor when they have, MCA puts on some tournaments in there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a bit far to drive to Detroit, but not too bad. About 2 hours. So for, like I said before, for chess,
man.
Like that trip, So
For chess.
yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to having those over the board things start up again. I really miss it. So
yeah, and those things are going. Of course, I'm a part of the Michigan Chess Association board, and we just talked about it. So everything is opening back up, and
nice.
and I'm so glad it's happening this way. Things are getting better now. So if for a minute we were worried, but now things are looking to get back to normal, and we're going to be back in over the board. But I mean, for right now, things like the States Cup has kept us occupied and kept some competition going, and it's been a lot of fun. But we are definitely looking to get back to over the board. And when you're going over the board, you're going to need something to help. So for all of you out there that needs, you want to know how to get better. Okay. Now, normally I ask, like the guests come on, I say, hey, what's your favorite chess books? Because, people that are watching, everybody's not 2050 like Devin, You got some players that are struggling. They've been 1400 for 55 years. They want to know what's going on. And so Devin is this guy, not only is he an expert chess player, not only is he a doctor of molecular biology, but he has the audacity to be an author too.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, guys, check it out. This guy is also a author. I'm gonna pull this up here. Bam! Out of This World Chess Puzzles. So for everybody out there that's 1400, or actually if you're 2000, check out the book here. Author Dr. Devin Camenares, Out of This World Chess Puzzle. Tell me about this book, bro.
Yeah, sure. So when I was out on Long Island, actually, when I was earning my doctorate, I also taught chess on the side. So I had not as many students as you, but only a handful because I was busy, and I would help out at some chess camps. Even when I was living in New York, the school where my wife was working, I would help them with their after-school chess program. So for a variety of reasons, I wanted to come up with like different puzzles that I could use with my students. And I ended up making these, and they're not really your typical chess puzzle. So I do things like, for example, you can imagine, like if you've ever seen a word search, right? It's like a grid of letters, but you have to connect the letters using piece movements. So I'd have things like that, and some other ones where I'm really it's not even really a chess puzzle, but it's not like a mate in two or anything like that, but it's training your visualization in a totally different way. So I wanted to come up with like unique ways to do that, and I would come up with some of them. I try them on my students, and then I kind of liked them. I thought it was good training for me as well. So I made a whole bunch of them. I put them in a book. I've expanded quite a lot, so I'm going to be updating it soon. But I thought, well, I had made, over 100 of these different kinds of puzzles. I might as well put them together and share them with other people. I actually had a sort of a chess blog for a while, where I would be posting some of these, and they seemed to get good feedback. So finally took the time to put it together in a book. And I only put this together, I think, sometime last year. The pandemic finally gave me time to collect them. So some of the references are a little outdated, but so I'm gonna have to update it. But I ended up publishing it. It's actually was pretty easy using the Amazon sort of self-directed publishing thing. So
all right. So guys, everybody out there, one of the number one things that training your pattern recognition is hitting those chess puzzles. That's like exercising every day. If you want to have a healthy mind and body, work your mind with these chess puzzles. Your body, you can do regular push-ups. Chess puzzles are mental push-ups every day. And so you
That's
can buy
right.
this on Amazon, and I believe the price is about like $7.99 that I last checked. And you
Yeah,
can buy it
something
right
like
there on Amazon. So check out Amazon there. And also in the description of this video, there I have a link directly linked to the Amazon page that you can purchase Out of This World chess puzzles from our very own Devin Camenares.
that.
Go there now and get the puzzle book. I know I'm going and grab this puzzle book and challenge my students to see what they think about it as well. So
Oh, cool. Yeah, I hope they like it. I hope you like it, and thanks for the shout out for this. Actually, you mentioned exercise. That also was one of the things that motivated me to make some of these puzzles. My brother is an Olympic weightlifter. Like he competes nationally.
what?
And so, I know about all his workout routines and saw how he kind of took what he needed to do and broke it down into individual segments. And so I thought, well, let me try and do something like that with chess, right? And so as long as you know how the pieces move, this is a great way then to train your visualization of different kinds of movements. So
Right. Excellent. All right. So, but I can't let you go without some of the questions that I know
sure.
the people are going to want to know from Dr. Devin Camenares. What are, outside of the Out of This World chess puzzles, what are your 3 favorite chess books?
Oh man, that's a good question. So I mean that kind of changes over time, right? In terms of like, I can tell you like what I'm reading most now, or what I've read in the past. But in terms of like chess improvement, I know The Amateur's Mind, I thought was a great book. I felt like that helped me a lot.
Me too.
I still remember, yeah. And maybe this is like I can't decide then for number 2 whether or not to say, since they're by the same author. I still remember parts of both Secrets of Practical Chess by John Nunn,
Okay.
and the other book that he wrote, Understanding Chess Move by Move. Like some of those positions, I feel like are seared into my brain just because it's written so well, right? And the strategic idea is so crystal clear that it's easy to follow.
Yeah.
So those were great books. I actually don't even know if I have them anymore. I might have given them away to students or friends, but those ones were great. The one that I'm working through now, I actually have with me. It's getting blurred out here, but this is Van Perlo's Endgame Tactics.
Okay.
So
I've
I mean,
seen
not
that.
really. It's a book, let's say, that's not as descriptive as some of the others, but man, like some of the tactics they have in there are great, and I feel like that's a really neat part of the game. You can find tactical puzzles all over, but those end game tactics,
Yeah.
that often just decides a game. So I've been trying to sharpen my end games a bit.
The funny something, some guys. So shout out to James Canty III, one of the best streamers in the world actually right now, from Michigan, from Detroit, by the way, because
Nice.
us in Detroit, we say we're not from Michigan, we're from Detroit, okay?
Nice.
And
Okay.
so he's from Detroit, and he's one of the best streamers out there. And in his last stream, he talks about pawn end games or
Okay.
end games in general being like putting in golf. And I think that's a great analogy, right? It's like putting in golf. Like you did the hard work, you got the ball close to the hole, but you got to finish. You have to finish. And end games, if you're good at end games, which something that I definitely studied from the beginning because my favorite player happens to be Anatoly Karpov.
Okay.
And so Karpov was very, very good at end games, and that's why he played the way he played with the black pieces. And so end games are very, very important. But that book is unique because it talks about the potential tactics in end games. So sometimes you get to the end game and you might think like, all right, tactic part is over. This is boring. But no, it's not always the case. There's a lot of tricks and tactical motifs in the end game as well. And a book that thick means there's a lot of things to observe in the end game when it comes to tactics. So who's the author of that book again?
It is. I guess his name is Van Perlo. Let's see. I don't know what his first name is. I guess some Dutch guy, I think.
Okay, tactics in the end game, guys.
Tactics. Yeah, and it's end game tactics. It's like, yeah, over 1,300 different endgame tactics. So Van Pirlo's endgame tactics.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good. Great book. I've heard a lot of good things about that book. All
Yeah.
right. So next question I have for you.
Sure.
Drum roll. Next question I have for you is your top 5 chess players of all time. You only get 5.
Ooh. All right. A little tricky, but I think I'd have to probably say maybe Kasparov, then Fischer. I guess I'll have to throw Magnus up there.
Okay, somewhere.
I mean, yeah, I know he's still his story's not finished yet, but and still an incredible player.
Highest rating ever.
Yeah, I mean, how can you argue with that, right? So what am I? I got the first 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of games of Alakine or Alyokin or however you want to pronounce it.
Well, he said his name. It's funny you say that because you're the first person that I ever talked to that had a conflict of the enunciation of his name, because I remember watching a video of him saying his own name.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it's black and white video. I'm pretty sure you can see it on YouTube. And he says Alyekin.
Alyekin. Ah, okay.
That's what he said, but I guess he moved to Germany after a while.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened, and maybe that was the German way to say the name, but that's how he said his own name. So
yeah, I think I have heard that before. I know it's not. I know that Alakine is sort of not the correct.
Yeah, that sounds like the American way to say a name. That's just like just like very very obnoxious. Alakine. Like that doesn't even sound right. But that's how most people say it. But no, I get it though. Alyekin or Alakine. He was definitely a great player. I think he was he the beginning of the Russian dominance, right? I think so, right?
Yeah, more or less. I think more or less.
Yeah. You got
one
more.
I'm a big Caruana fan nowadays as well, or at least I was when obviously rooting for him in the World Championship match. Although I guess I'm gonna have to put Morphy up there because I mean, how could you not include Morphy in a list of great players?
But
right?
You know what? So, a lot of people wouldn't include them in their top 5. I am not one of them. That's Bobby Fischer's favorite player, by the way. But also, Paul Morphy showed you how to take advantage of development. More than anything, it was so clear. If I want to show a student how to take advantage of development, I will always show a Morphy game.
Yes.
And so, to anyone out there, this is what I tell my students, especially if they're under 1,000. The quickest way to get to 1,000, and so a lot of coaches don't look at that because some kids are stuck at 400, 500. You want to get them to 1,000 quickly as possible, as young as possible. Actually, I would say even to 1,400. This works. If your opponent if you have more pieces out than your opponent, attack immediately.
Yeah.
If you have castle and your opponent hasn't castle, attack the center immediately. Open the center and attack. Everything your coach told you not to do, you do it anyway. If the other person's king is in the center, because Morphy, he punished people for making an extra pawn move here or there. I mean, he had some of the most beautiful games without any computer engines or no theory to back him up. But and one of the reasons why I guess Fischer liked him as well is because they both had the same outcome as well, because they both kind of went off the rails towards the end. That's how great they were at the game. But Paul Morphy, I don't believe would be in a lot of people's top 5. I don't understand why not, but I respect him being in your top 5 for sure.
Yeah, and a big fan of his, and like you said, it just actually it kind of makes me think of a basketball or some other sports too, right? Like you're not going to compete if some of your players are sitting on the bench.
Right.
Or like you say, if you have more pieces out, it's like a power play, let's say in hockey or something like that, right? The normal rules then and strategies don't apply. But Yeah, I also have to say, like, one of the things I like about Morphy and Fisher, and I guess also, I mean, this is maybe true for a lot of these guys, but um, if I could expand the top five a little bit, it probably like other ones I would choose would be people like Capablanca as well. Just the fact that they sort of came out of nowhere, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
Morphy, how he got that good without tough opposition, it's insane. So some of the stories, at least leading up to their success, is really interesting and inspiring, right? What they did afterwards in Morphy and Fisher's case, not so
Right.
much.
Right.
Some of the
Right.
other bits are really
We're not
interesting.
gonna talk about that, but
Yeah, right.
before they
Yeah.
after they were, we're not gonna talk about that, but they were great players.
Yeah.
Definitely check out those games. And I respect your top five, man. I respect your top five. I would have told
Thanks,
you if your
man.
top five was trash, by the way. I
Yeah.
would
Oh, I
I would tell
appreciate
you
the honesty.
immediately your top five is trash. Get off
Yeah.
the podcast. But nope,
Yeah.
your top five makes the round. All right, so we're gonna get into our game breakdown because a lot of people want to know, hey, what has Devin done lately? And Devin has we played the States Cup recently, and you had a game against Maggie Fang, and Maggie Fang is a former U.S. Women's Championship contender. Actually, she played in the U.S. Women's Championship, of course, commentated by Maurice Ashley, Jennifer Shahade, and Yasser
Yep.
Serwin.
I
And
remember watching those games.
yeah, man, and Alma and did well
Yeah.
in that tournament a couple times. So and then to our surprise, we learned that Maggie Fang, we have to play Maggie Fang in when we had our matchup against Ohio. So those games were very big to play someone so good. I think she's over 2,300 FIDE, I believe. And so Devin, you had a really important game against Maggie Fang. And
Yeah.
I am going to give me 1 second. I'm going to bring this game up here.
By the way, also big fan of Canty's stream, GM Canty. I watch him often, and I agree. He's like one of the best streamers there on Twitch. So.
Oh yeah. GM Canty is one of the best. Shout out to we call him Jimmy in Detroit.
Okay.
Because it's two different people, James and Jimmy. When Jimmy comes out, somebody's in trouble because he has some of the best tactics ever. Jimmy,
Yeah.
Jimmy has some grandmaster tactics. I'm telling you.
I remember in the States Cup last year. I mean, the tactical positions he'd get. It's just incredible.
Man. Oh yes, that's right. He played with us last year in the State Cup. Remember, he beat Grandmaster Mackenzie Molnar. Not only did he beat him, he beat him very badly. In that game.
Yeah, his games are great. I love watching that.
So all tactics. Shout out to Jimmy. We want to see more Jimmy. I know James is refined. He's a star, streaming star. But in Detroit, we like Jimmy. So Jimmy is definitely one of the most genuine brothers out there for sure.
Yeah.
And we have we have a big history. Some things he did nice because I actually wanted him to coach my son a long time ago, way before he was on any social media. And he was actually a kid. He was like 15 years old. And I remember him saying he turned down. I was going to give him money. He turned down the money and he told me, "Hey man, just go take him to CT Art and just do tactics." And I said, "Okay." He didn't, and then I did that with my son, and my son became the top player in Detroit until he graduated high school. He was the top player from 7 years old all the way until senior.
Yeah, tactics make a big difference. This is true.
Yeah, tactics make a big difference. So shout out to James Canty III. Please go and check out his stream. He's everywhere. Chess.com, on YouTube. It's called GM Canty. That's all you have to do. Search GM Canty.
He even made it up to the cover of Chess Life.
That's right. On the cover.
Yeah, so I was excited to see that. Yeah.
All right. So here this is the game right here. Devin Camenares versus Maggie Fang. And I want to make sure I didn't want to put all that on the side there, but okay, we'll keep it there. We're not going to worry about that. And so, Devin, if you want, you could actually even go into, because I added you to the study. If you want to
Yeah,
do,
yeah. I think I'm there. So
okay, if you want to get in yourself, but
yeah,
first of all, before this game,
yeah.
do you remember? Were you thinking anything? How were you feeling here? Is it something that, like, did you say, hey, I'm gonna play the English against her, or were you kind of trying to
Yeah.
make a decision on the fly?
So I kind of prepared it a little bit. I knew I wanted to play the English. I had been doing that in the States Cup, and I don't always play the English. Like you look at what I play in Blitz, it's kind of a lot of different things. But um, I'm sometimes going against some of these big guns. I'm a little worried about walking into some really nasty theory.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I would go with the English, and I also I tried to do a little prep before the game, or like before the match started, and so I noticed that her results against the English were not, let's say, that great compared to some of the other lines I saw her playing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I actually realized, because I had looked at the game before, that we were up to a point following a loss she had in the U.S. Championship, where she was on the black side of an English. So I was like kind of excited about that, but then I felt like I didn't want to go fully down the same path, because I'm not Irina Crush, right? I'm not a grandmaster, so I'm not going to be able to do quite the same thing. But the other thing I had noticed throughout the match, and even like the game you had against her, I was watching that, and that was really, really fascinating game. She seemed like she was getting into a lot of time pressure.
Yeah.
So like going in, I thought, okay, I'm going to play the English. I'm not going to try and make anything too straightforward for her, right? I don't want just to have like a whole series of exchanges or anything like that. I want a slow game where she's going to have a lot of options and burn a lot of time. So that was pretty much the extent of my prep. And,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, she did. She was very. This definitely didn't seem like her time control.
Yeah.
She's definitely was exerting a lot of energy just on her time. Like she
Yeah.
would think about, I think, positions that, it was pretty simple, but she was treating the 15 minutes like it was probably an hour.
Yeah.
And yeah, I noticed that as well. All right, so you played here, C4 here, and we get into normal English territory. Um, and give me your background on the English. Is this something that you normally play when you play tournaments, or?
I've played it a few times at tournaments. I went through some stretches where this was the only thing I was playing in Blitz, and then I would watch a bunch of Yasser videos, and I would try and read up on the English a lot. And I tried to pick up some things from Chess Explained, Christoph Selecki. He has had an English course, a video somewhere that I got.
Okay.
I was like kind of interested in it because it seemed like a nice way to avoid theory. Like the kind of theory you get with E4, for example.
Right.
So if I ever wanted to break from that, it's kind of good to have this as an option. And I was starting to get good results with it. So it'd be a stretch where I would play it, but then, switch it up now and then. Got to keep them guessing, right?
It will be interesting to see a conversation between you and our top player in Michigan, Atuya Shetty.
Okay.
Who has, I am of the opinion that he is a definitely a grandmaster when it comes to the English, because this is something he plays exclusively, and he has so many great victories with the English, and so he is like a big time expert on this. And and I get what you're saying about like not. It's certain openings that you can play that are very solid, like the English, where you can escape theory. It's my brain versus your brain, not my memory versus your memory. I'm a London system player myself, and that's kind of similar to that type of style where you're playing more of a system with a great idea, but you still get share of the center. You still have great plans, but you get away from the memorization of lines and getting more into playing ideas and waiting for imbalances to show up.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so I think that was a pretty decent choice, especially against your opponent, who
Yeah.
she has a lot of. I mean, she's playing in championships, so she's been prepped by many coaches, and she wouldn't mind hitting you with some of the prepared lines if you get into something sharp, right? And
Oh yeah.
and Maggie Fang is really good in sharp positions. I've seen her, so I think this was a good choice.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
All right, so normal English lines. Stop me if
Yep.
you have a thought about anything that as you were going along in this opening here.
Yeah.
Uh,
So here, actually, this moment with Rook B1, this is where I think if I play D4 instead, it's like maybe what's more traditional, and I think that was actually very similar to the game she had in the U.S. Championship. But this is the way pushing the B pawn. This is
yeah,
kind of unusual way of playing it. Is normally what I do in Blitz. So
right.
um,
Yasser
I feel
Sirwin
like let me
style.
go
This
with
is
this.
Yasser
Yeah.
Sirwin's way to do it. I have a kid that plays for me at Cass Tech High School. 4-time state chess champions, by the way, in a row.
Wow.
No, I just want to tease everybody out there. Hopefully we'll have another shot at it this year. But anyway, so Cameron Wilson plays the English, and this is his method, Rook B1, and
Okay.
it's pretty simple.
Yeah. You
So
can catch a lot of people off guard with this stuff. So
and you remember the game that she had in the U.S. Championship where D4 was played instead of Rook B1?
yeah, I think maybe the position might have been slightly different, but it was basically the difference in the idea. Yeah. I mean, I looked it up beforehand. I didn't like on the fly remember that from 2 years ago. I knew I was going to play her, and I found games that she played in the English, and that was one of them. So, but I
Okay.
figured I'd go with this Rook B1 thing, and again, something that's maybe a little unusual. It's not going to fall prey to a quick tactic, but should make it a long game. So,
Yeah. Yep. All right. So she plays Bishop F5. I was wondering about Bishop F5.
yeah.
I guess D3 Knight B4, is that even a play? I don't know.
Yeah, I was a little worried about that at first, but then I'll just play E4 and I'll transition to a completely different. And that structure I wasn't so happy about if I had to play E4, D3 and E4 here,
Uh-huh.
because then all of a sudden this bishop would come to life, right?
Yeah.
And but I mean it's better than just letting the knight in. So
Right,
um,
right.
thankfully she didn't even. I don't think she even went that route. I don't. Actually, did she? I don't remember.
No,
No,
she played queen to D7.
yeah.
Looks like her aim is to her aim is well, is she going to castle queenside and play H5 and H4?
Yeah, that was her goal.
It seems like your queenside attack is faster. I think so, right?
Yeah,
Because
I
B4,
think you're right.
B5 is coming pretty fast,
Yep.
and you're gonna have you got a hook on B5 here, right, where it's gonna be some action. If you ever
Yeah,
get that in. So yours seem to be a bit faster.
I think you're right, and actually, that's something that I should have thought about more in the game. The
Oops,
idea
sorry.
that like don't actually have to worry about her kingside attack too much.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
actually, what I did in the game is probably pretty crazy, but yeah,
Well, you played B4 here.
yeah, I
Uh,
probably should have castled before B4, but I figured I'm just gonna go for it.
well, the computer likes your move. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Huh.
computer liked your move there.
Interesting.
Oh, it didn't like that.
Like
I
that,
wonder
I
if
probably
castle is just getting castled here is probably
right.
better, maybe.
Yeah, and I
Um.
get
Oh
yeah, that's
no,
sort of
no, not
what I was
castle.
thinking of.
So what would you play here? It wouldn't be
Probably
bishop
takes.
takes here.
Maybe take.
Oh yeah, yeah. Queen
Take, and then
takes
maybe
and
the
then
queen is
play
somewhat
B5.
offside. Yeah, maybe. It's it thinks
Hmm.
it's equal, I guess. Um,
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
there might be some lines here where you actually try and track the queen over there,
Yeah.
but maybe not right away.
Or maybe knight D5. Is that even a move? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So maybe even knight D5 is a move. Yeah. Computer
yeah,
like
that's a
this.
good point. I guess I should have thought about the fact that if trading light spread bishops actually in this position is not that terrible since I get D5.
Yeah.
So I kind of was like hell bent not to let her trade the light squared bishops in this game, and it led to a really weird position. I think.
Yeah, this position look. I don't fault you for that because this position looks like it's going to be a lot of tactics here.
Yeah.
It's going to open up and one false move and you're over. So
Yes.
that's what this is starting to look like. So I don't blame you for doing what you did actually.
Yeah.
So bishop to f3 was played,
Yeah.
and then knight f6, and then b5.
Yeah. So.
And I'm gonna assume that, I mean, as we watching the engine, of course, you don't have the availability of the engine when you're playing. I'm gonna assume the engine doesn't like this as much because you're a little bit behind in development. Is there a way to open up the center because of that? So that's what I'm gonna assume why the evaluation is leaning towards black.
And I think that that's basically what happens. And I kind of underestimated the fact that she can crack open the center in a way later that really helps. Yeah, I think my play here is just a little bit too passive, and I didn't really do enough to take care of my king here.
Yeah.
But it cost her a lot of time. I actually have not looked at this game since we played it. Had a busy week, but it should be interesting to see what the engine thinks.
Well, you know, the time that she took to figure this out. I mean, you can't the moves that you had in the clutch. So right now,
Yeah.
you know, you're down to 2,300 Maggie Fang. She's played in U.S. championships.
Yeah.
You know, your position is I don't know if you feel like your position is worse here. I guess I would feel like my position is worse, but I don't feel like I'm lost yet.
Right.
Even though the computer might say you're lost a little bit, but I don't feel like I'm lost at this point. I do know that my development is a problem.
Yeah. I kind of felt like I felt okay with the position at this point when I was playing the game because I thought, okay, I have pressure on the B pawn. I kind of got what I wanted out of the position strategically. And I felt like now she's having to react to what I do. I think I underestimated the strength of her breakthrough later. But at this point, I was like, all right, yeah, this is going well. You know, okay, my king side's a little weird, but who cares, right? I'm getting a breakthrough on the queen side. So
and you have 4 more minutes on the clock, too. So
yeah, that certainly helps, too.
That matters.
Yeah.
All right, she plays bishop to b6.
Yeah.
And here you go, bishop d2.
Yeah.
She castles. She completes her development. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying I wanted to play knight a4 on the previous move, but then I think bishop a5 check would have been kind of annoying.
Okay. I see.
So that's why, right, so the whole idea was to go after this bishop. But
check.
Check seemed annoying. So that's the reason why I played bishop d2 first. It was really just for that one move.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so she completes her development, and then you get into knight a4, going for the pair of bishops. And one thing that I noticed about, and I said this in my last interview with Cameron Tolliver. I don't know if you've seen that interview. If you didn't, guys, check that out. Cameron Tolliver won the Chicago Open in the under 2100 section. And so we talked in that game about the bishop pair. And that, I think, is one of the biggest misunderstandings of a player that's 1800 through 2200, is how to effectively use the bishop pair and how these trades matter. And so once you go knight a4, your plan is to take the pair of bishops. Not only just the pair of bishops, but the bishop on b6 is a pretty good bishop, right? It has a really good diagonal compared to the knight that you had on c3. But how do we use the bishops once we have the bishops in our possession? What good are they? They seem to be overrated to me. Of course, I'm just speaking from the mouth of my students. Devin, what should we look to do if we have the pair of bishops?
That's a great question. Well, the two things that would come to my mind: one, you want open diagonals, right, and targets for those bishops. Play on opposite sides of the board also really favors the bishop pair. And the last thing, which I actually picked up, I feel like I learned a lot from those streams with Yasser and GM Ashley. One of the things I thought was really neat when they talk about the bishop pair is your unopposed bishop. You could really develop a lot of attacks on that color complex. So that's the other thing I think with the bishop pair. If I get that dark square bishop off, I'm going to try and use the bishop on d2 to target any of those dark square pawns and weaknesses.
Yeah.
If I can, because they're not going to be able to defend it as well. So those would be the things I'd say, right? Get the diagonals open and really accentuate the bishop that has no counterpart on the board.
That's correct, because by you having a dark square bishop, the one on d2, you can always attack anything on a dark square more than black can defend it.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so that's how it goes, or if there's a knight available that can defend it, remember the bishop can move from one side of the board to the other in one move, where the knight is a slower piece. So if the knight is defending a square, the knight takes 3 moves to get to the other side of the board just to help the other pieces. So it's definitely an advantage to have the pair of bishops, because you control both colors if the position is open. If the position is locked up, there's some situations where the knights are better than bishops.
That's true, yeah.
In most situations, pawns are traded, and the position is more likely to be semi-open than completely closed. That's why the bishop pair is very valuable. But there's exceptions to all the rules, guys.
That's true,
so there's exceptions. So don't ever have this always in your mind. You have to be able to adapt to the circumstances and the position on the board. All right, so
it's one other thing about the bishops versus knights that I've kind of noticed. Mm-hmm. The knights, or let's say the bishops, you can move the bishop and it can still be attacking or defending the same square, right?
Yeah.
The knight cannot stay targeting the same square if it has to move. So that sort of difference in mobility I see being important in a lot of cases too.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Okay. All right. So after knight a4, targeting the b6 bishop, she decides to open it up. Hey, we just talked about this, guys. If your opponent's king is in the center, everything your coach told you not to do, do it anyway.
Yep.
Okay? I don't care what you got to do. If you are under 1400 and you sacrifice a piece just to get that king in the center, do it. Let your coach talk about how you can make your attack better after the game. But do it. Do it. Okay? Your attack will always get better, but you never can go wrong by putting pressure on someone when they're king, or if you have more pieces out than your opponent, start an immediate attack. At the very least, you'll keep the king in the center for a very long time. So that's what she's doing.
Great advice.
That's what she's doing. Advice. She's doing the Paul Morphy here, sacrificing a pawn here on e4. Now, what were you thinking here?
Yeah, well, here I was starting to get kind of nervous.
Okay.
I wasn't really considering e4 because I thought I had the square under control. Mm-hmm. And, I was maybe one move away from playing e4 myself. But I really didn't appreciate the fact that, to me, it's not so much that the pawn's gone to e4. It's the fact that e5 is available for the knight. Right? And I just completely underestimated the fact that knight coming into e5, it's just devastating. So this was actually a really tricky spot. The only thing I started to see in this position, I was like, okay, at least the one saving grace I have is that I now have f4 for my knight.
Yep.
And that, I think, was the only thing that would allow me to hold stuff together. But I spent a good amount of time here, I think, because I felt like I was under a lot of pressure with this.
What? Speaking about amount of time, she spent almost more than 5 minutes on this one move.
Yeah.
Okay. She is breaking. I mean, like, Maggie Fang is a dangerous player in classical time controls. Let me tell you. Okay. Yeah. Like she is not worried about the time. She's trying to play the best move no matter what time control it is. That's why she's running out of time. Because she's searching for the best move. Sometimes you can't find the absolute best move when you're playing rapid or blitz or something like that. So she's searching for the best move. Now, this might be the best move by the computer. I believe it is. But you have to finish the game. You have to continue to make accurate moves in your attack. Can she do that in 2 minutes and 38 seconds where you have plenty of time to find accurate defense? So this is pretty big. And so you took time like you should have. You took almost 2 minutes to figure this out,
Yeah.
and you decided on knight takes b6.
Yeah.
Um, is
Yeah.
that just a move that you said she had to deal with now? Because I don't believe.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
I figured that I could just throw that in there, and
Yeah.
then most of the time I was spending on that other move was thinking about how I'm going to deal with what happens after she recaptures, right? So,
Uh-huh.
how am I going to take her e4 pawn basically? Because I have to do that one way or the other. So, I was doing a lot to try and calculate, what the consequences of keeping my bishop or not would be.
Yeah.
And at this point, when playing knight takes b6, I had already decided on what my next follow-up move was going to be.
Okay. And so she goes c takes, and then here you take with the pawn here on e4. And I am guessing that she goes knight e5 here.
Yeah.
And already, I'm not going to lie, the first thing I'm thinking about is taking this knight on e5. But
I thought about that too, actually. I mean,
because
you
it
get
looked
a
like the
pawn
knight can go to d3. I mean, it has
Yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah, it looked pretty nasty. And I did think actually pretty seriously about taking it. But I mean, then I'm still kind of tied up in knots, and I wasn't really sure how to continue after that. I mean, at least here I have some ideas of playing knight f4,
Yeah.
holds d3, it hits h3. Taking it would be interesting, but now I feel like I still have a lot of the same problems in my position. Now I'm actually down to
now that I see it on the board, I don't like it anymore. I don't have a square for my knight on e2. It's going to take a minute for it to get to d5, and okay, so yeah,
Right.
don't like. I thought maybe the bishop pair could do something, but I guess no, it can't do anything. Nope.
Right.
Okay, so knight f4 is probably the only move, right? Maybe.
I think so. Because I mean, actually, if I don't play knight f4, maybe I'm almost in danger of being mated here. In fact, she's threatening mate in 1, I think, right? So
I mean, you do have knight d4 but you just
that's true.
You would have to knight d3 check. King has to move up to e2. I don't know. That looks terrible.
Yeah, it didn't want any part of that. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you played here knight f4.
Yep.
And let's
see, what did she do next? Oh yeah, then.
Okay. Actually, sorry guys, if you guys have been in the chat, I totally forgot about the chat. I forgot all about the chat, man. Oh my goodness. I've been so wrapped up in this with Devin, man. This interview, I forgot all about the chat from you guys. I am so sorry. Okay. Now, if you guys are in the chat, you have any questions, feel free. I am currently watching the chat now.
Yeah.
All right. So after knight f4,
check.
She trades knight for bishop. Okay. And then she takes the pawn on a2.
Yeah.
And this is, you are up time, right? That makes you feel a little bit better because she has only 56 seconds. It's 15 minutes with 2-second increments, so that's important. But your king is stuck in the center. How are you feeling right now?
At first I was feeling good when seeing rook takes a2 because I thought she was going to harass my queen.
Yeah.
But this is also unpleasant. I lost a pawn. I can't castle for 2 different reasons here. Was starting to get worried about my king. I was starting to see things where she comes in this way or even just on the a file. So I was getting pretty nervous here, to be honest. I was just at this point trying to see, is there some way I can sort of untangle? And I thought that I might have some way of getting out of all of this, but I wasn't sure sort of how to do it. Probably I need to just trade stuff, right? I could take that bishop, get it out of the way, then move my bishop castle, right? If I can trade a lot of things, going crazy with the arrows here.
And then king e2 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, I still have the pressure against her queen side, so
Yeah.
I thought I still had decent chances if I could sort of survive the next 5 moves or so.
Actually, now that you say that, yeah, that trade looks to be very. Yeah, that looks
Yeah.
really good. Not just trading that, moving your king up there so you can get your rook into the game. And
Yeah.
the thing is, she has those weak B pawns here that are doubled isolated here. That those are pretty much gone. I know we have this C pawn that could be a weakness too, but the computer didn't like her move though. So I think the computer thinks she kind of gave up some pressure.
Yeah.
And
I kind of felt the same way too. That I was thought I was breathing a little easier here.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, for some reason I didn't think about trading the bishop right away, which I probably should have.
And it's something to be said. I know she feels like she has a rook on a2 and she has an open file for the rook. But guys, if you have an attack, you always be careful of taking random pawns, okay? Because your attack is not guaranteed to stay forever. You know what I mean? Like you have to want to increase maximum pressure, as much maximum pressure as you can. Initiative, forcing moves as much as you can. When especially when the opponent's king is in the center, and so taking a random pawn could be the end of your attack. And I believe, Devin, after what you said there, I think you're okay here, especially with this time advantage.
Oh yeah.
So here you play bishop to c3. Now computer doesn't like bishop c3. I actually think knight takes h3. What you said there would have been better.
I agree. I think there's two reasons I missed that move because again I was, it's a tense situation. I was really expecting her to play bishop g4 instead of taking a2, so I wasn't even kind of thinking that I would have the opportunity to trade on h3. In my mind, the bishop was already on g4, so I didn't even think about it that way. And the other thing I was worried about was the rook check down here, but I kind of missed the idea that it's already defended. Right. So I don't have to worry about that rook in the corner, but I guess I started seeing things that weren't really there. I mean, you know how it is after playing for like 2 hours, bunch of blitz games that your mind plays tricks on you. So
yes. I like in this very same tournament, I missed like straight up mate. So I understand for sure. But okay, so bishop c3 was played, and then bishop g4 was played here.
Yeah.
Now you don't have many squares. You only have one square to retreat for the queen. So queen g2, and then she played the move queen to e7.
Yeah.
And she's aiming at the pawn on e4 twice. You have a lot of time to figure out pretty good plan here. She only has 21 seconds. I'm feeling you kind of confident here. You could play f3. Oh no, I'm sorry, you cannot play f3. That's actually a blunder.
Maybe h3.
E5 is possible. H3 is also possible. Yeah. So here I think that you have kind of you've gone around the corner here. I think you're fine here.
I think you're right. Actually, I think that might have panicked a little bit here because maybe I had some different options, but certainly she is bringing a lot of pieces into the attack, like you were saying before, right?
So here you played bishop takes f6.
Yeah.
Queen takes f6. And then,
finally, I was like, I just wanted to get safe. I just wanted to get the king safe. Finally, took me 22 moves, but
22. Move 22. Castle.
Right.
Whoa! So, you've never been more happier to castle in your life.
And actually, at this point, I agree. When I finally got my king safe, I thought, with the weaknesses that she had, I should be doing all right. I was a little bit afraid of her trying to push g5 at some point.
Yeah.
But as long as I had that knight there, I felt like I should be stable. Of course, I moved the knight like 2 moves later, but just because I wasn't thinking straight. But yeah, I was feeling okay with my position at this point.
All right. So, guys, this is something I've said on other streams and podcasts before. So now that Dr. Camenares has this great position, he has a big time advantage over his much higher rated opponent, Maggie Fang, former U.S. Championship woman contender. And he has a big time advantage, better position on the board. The only thing that could stop him now is called the winning disease. Okay.
Yeah.
And so when we're so comfortable, we've been struggling, we've finally played good moves to get back into the game, and now we have a clear advantage in our mind. We don't want our mind to go into this place of we are winning, because this is not soccer, baseball, or basketball where whoever has more wins. It's whoever gets checkmate wins. And so you have to keep your focus on the game and not get so comfortable, not relax and say, okay, I've done it. Because our opponent, who thinks that she's losing and is also down in time, is very, very desperate, is very aware of any type of move to come back. And so these are some of the most dangerous times in the chess game. I wish there was a book talking about this. And this usually happens to club players, because professional players, IM and GMs, they don't usually have this type of distraction or this type of malfunction when they get a winning position. That's why they're IMs and GMs.
Yeah.
So, how was you feeling here? Were you starting to were you getting inflicted with the winning disease, or what was going on?
I think I'm a chronic patient. But yeah, definitely I was having a little bit of that here. I mean, especially looking at the time situation, I was thinking this is going to be a nice end to a good night, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she played rook c8, so of course she's getting her other piece into the game. You go knight d5. You're attacking the b6 pawn twice here. Yeah. The knight is centralized. Can't be a better piece than that. Queen e6.
Yeah. So this is where I slipped up a little bit, because because my knight was on f4 before and I thought I had h3 covered.
Yeah.
I completely missed the fact that now this is going to threaten.
Right.
Viewer.
That's
so
right.
That winning disease. Stuck again, and the funny thing too is I was just saying, I was actually thinking about the fact that, man, my knight on f4 is so good. I wonder if she'll play g5 to kick it off. And what do? I move the knight away voluntarily, right? So
yeah,
I really should have kept it a little bit more solid for a few more moves, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you did take on b6. Yep. And as you see, that meter goes all the way down.
Yeah.
And here, she didn't play bishop h3 like she should have. Of course, she only has 10 seconds left, by the way.
Yeah.
So she probably was so, she probably was so surprised that she was thinking about any move you could play other than giving her the exchange.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she was thinking, like, no way he's going to give me the exchange. So I'm going to get my move ready for when he moves his, rook away or something, And so she played an immediate move, something that she had prepared against something else,
Yep.
And then here you take another pawn, and then here she goes.
Still gives me a chance.
Rook to e8. She's on 7 seconds, but she has 2-second increment. Take, and then now the knight comes into d6. What a knight here. And now the pass pawns are starting to look like strengths, because if you can keep this knight on d6, and you got a pass c pawn, now those pawns are not gonna be so bad. I would definitely rather be white here, even though the computer gives an evaluation of equal. I would rather be white here for sure.
Yeah, and actually, now that I'm looking at it, I really did like the fact that I had the knight on d6. I'm wondering whether or not I should have played knight f5 instead, in lieu of what happened in the game. Because again, she was threatening bishop h6.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
So,
yes.
Actually, giving away the pawn here, I have to think this is great for white, right?
Yes, this is completely
in that time scramble. I never really just sat took a second to sit back and be like, oh, I'm up 2 pawns. I should just trade everything, right?
Simplify.
And then exactly take away her counterplay, and then I'd have nothing to worry about. But instead, tried to cement the knight there, thinking I'd had some additional tactics of my own, but finally give her a chance to play bishop h3 here. Actually, I'm curious. It's kind of interesting to see that the computer doesn't hate this.
No, because the knight is just as good as the rook. And let me tell you guys there, for those of you guys who are also under 1600, let me tell you something. Stop listening to that point evaluation. That's when you were a beginner. Stop listening to that. That knight is no longer worth 3. That's worth 6. Okay? Yeah, that knight controls all the important squares on black's half of the board. It's no longer a 3-pointer. So it all depends on the position when you're basing the point count. And so that's why the computer feels like this is at least even, because the knight, not only does it have an outpost on d6, it's also supporting a passed c4 pawn. That could be that could be a potential queen in the future. So it's more than enough. I would actually rather be white here for sure. Yeah. I have more moves to play and more imbalances that lean towards me in this position. So I see why the computer would say that. And not only that, you have a big time advantage. No matter how good your opponent is, there's only so many moves that your opponent can play that will be really accurate. So, right. I think that white is better in this type of position. Yeah. But an exchange is an exchange, so you always have to watch out for that.
Yeah, and I think the dangerous thing here is not just the like you're saying, actually material count. I got the extra 3 pawns. So even if you were just counting straight material, I'd still be ahead. But I was a little worried about my king at this point, just because it's kind of has to defend for itself.
Yeah, and you're gonna probably have to find a hiding place for the king, and I know you did in this game. But you have enough time to figure out the pathway of the king. So that's the good thing. Yeah. You have 4 minutes to figure it out, where she has to try to find a mating net around this king, But also look at your queen and knight are holding the queen to the defense of the f7 pawn. So the queen can't get that involved in the attack on the king, So if she's going to leave with the queen, she has to make sure that it's the right thing.
Right.
All right.
Check.
So she does check you here. Mm-hmm. And it looks scary. It does look scary, but is this not checkmate yet?
Not yet. I can just squeeze out of it, I think.
Yeah.
Check.
And she checks you with the rook here. You're running away. You're running closer to your queen.
Check.
Trying to stop the checks here.
Check.
Now I actually thought about basically going in for the draw. And the crazy thing is that if this match was drawn, then if this game was a draw, then the match would have been a draw.
Yeah.
So I was prepared to repeat. Actually, I figured that it looked a little dicey. My pawns seemed kind of weak, and so I thought I'll just take the draw against a pretty strong opponent and call it a day. But
well, we're glad you didn't.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, she's the one who played for more, so it kind of backfired.
Oh, that's right. You repeated, and she just could not. Right.
I couldn't. I wasn't sure really how to go forward. She had her rook covering f7, so and I was just a little too nervous about my king. I didn't want to end up getting having her heavy pieces sneak around and.
I would think that the best way to go is trying to get or probably moving a c pawn up for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now too. I think you're right. c5.
Yeah.
That's the main asset I have in this position, really.
Because the knight is already controlling the c8 square here.
Yeah.
And I know you're gonna have to pay attention to all the checks on your king, but with your queen involved. If you can get that pawn, it looks like you can get a couple pushes without getting harassed already.
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, I now that I look at it, in the a little bit more calmly, it's actually not easy to see how she's going to continue to check my king. So
Yeah, it's not.
yeah.
Okay, so
Check.
you checked here a couple
Check.
times, ready for the repetition. She changes course
Yeah.
and goes king
And then,
h6.
Yeah. And then again, this is I think where I started to play, and this is something that I know I should avoid. I think up to this point doing a pretty good job of this, but then it's always tempting when your opponent is in time trouble to try and also play fast, but then you're throwing away your time advantage, right? So here's where I think I started to panic a little bit. I was playing some quick moves, like this move, trying to sneak in the back way doesn't really do anything, but I wasn't seeing this idea of pushing the C pawn really, so I was still kind of intent on this, and just kind of force a draw, kind of thinking. But yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean that's another some good advice there. When you are up in time and your opponent only has seconds on the clock, don't try to make a fast move to hopefully run their timeout. What runs their timeout more effectively is a good move. And if whatever time you take to find a good move, that's what's going to make them think. And if they don't make an accurate response, then that puts you in a even better or easier position to win the game. So I tell my students that a lot. That just happened to one of my students in the state championship recently, where we had this conversation. But that's also very good advice. Very good advice. All right, so here he goes. She goes queen to f1. She wants to get some checks on your king there, maybe get you in a mating net here. You check from behind now. Now things are starting to shake out now, I think, for you. Because that knight and queen, remember guys, the knight and queen is the most vicious mating combination. Because the knight can do things the queen cannot do.
Right.
Okay, and so when you get a knight and a queen around a king, there's a lot of tricky things that can happen. And so by her letting your queen get behind like that, I already see where this could go. And here you play g4 here.
Yeah.
Oh man, the computer does not like that. Looks like she's gonna be getting a lot of checks on your king here, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to avoid all those checks. It looks very tough.
I think g4 is just too slow, and my king, I've really left him out to dry, to fend for himself. So
I wonder what is the move. Is it? No, definitely not that. What would be the move? Is it pushing the pawn? No. Huh.
Yeah. Maybe running to d4 with the king.
Running right away. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Hiding behind. He's got to get closer to his friends, right?
Yeah.
Protection. So.
You're nothing without your homeboys. So that's an active king. Get close to your pieces. You need protection.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, so you play g4. It makes sense because you're threatening checkmate in one.
Check.
She checks you here.
Check.
And she doesn't have enough time to figure out the most accurate checks, I believe. Even though you go here, she takes a pawn and checks you again. And now you are starting to go to
check.
And here, I was wondering, why didn't she take? Is it bad to take here on e5? Oh, maybe it is bad.
Good question. I don't know.
Maybe that is bad. Is it better to check?
Check.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know, but she did check here.
Yeah.
And the computer does not like that.
Right. Thought she had something.
But I mean,
better.
she's still better here. Or actually winning.
Right.
Looks like she had a better move there.
Just so she could take on g4 next.
Okay, right.
He paid for that move.
And she did take on g4.
Yeah.
And here you go queen to, you kind of resetting yourself, trying to bring the queen to
Yeah.
I guess to attack, maybe by bringing the knight in. I don't know. What was your thinking here? The queen has done its job on h8, right?
Yeah, was just trying to think some way of, like you say, bring the queen back into some sort of action. Maybe being able to even bring the queen up to d7 at some point, challenge her queen.
Yeah.
And also didn't want to put it somewhere where it would get into some big trouble. But yeah, I was just trying to fight to survive at this point. I already knew that it wasn't going the way I thought. I mean, I dropped a whole bunch of pawns on the king side and just trying to fight on. Still trying to fight for a draw in this case.
Gotta give Maggie Finn credit. She's been on like 7 seconds for like 20 moves, you know?
Yeah, but like you said, when it got tactical, she was ready.
Yeah. All right, so after rook c2, here you go, queen to queen b8. She's down to 8 seconds. You have 38 seconds, so now you're kind of catching up with her in time. And in queen e6, computer says big giant mistake, and you have enough time to see the mistake. And you played it. That was a big money move, Devin, for you to find queen to b1. Now, when you found this, or when you seen this, what were you thinking?
Oh, I was like ecstatic because I knew that this was basically this was going to be game. Then I felt like if I could get that rook, and I realized there's no way. I don't think there's a way that she can defend the rook.
No.
Yeah. So I thought now that I'm winning, and I was. Still pretty nervous, but yeah, I was feeling really good at this point.
And that knight covers all the key squares.
Yeah.
your knight on d6 stops queen f5. You know what I mean? And it stops queen takes c4. I mean, that knight is just such a star. And it highlights, the position by the queen b1 move. And so when you play queen b1, did she resign at that point? No, she made a move
we
here.
kept on playing, actually. At least now I felt like not only did I have, I was up on the clock in a big way, but at least now I again had a winning position. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she kept on playing.
So she's playing.
This is where I think this is where she resigned, though.
Oh, she
not here.
Oh,
because
okay.
This is not hanging the fork because the knight is pinned.
Right.
But she kind of did introduce that into the position, though, right?
Yeah.
That's.
Well, we're only 4 seconds,
Yeah.
And now,
and so basically.
Yep.
Yeah, and here I think she walks into it now.
Check.
Looked like it's in. Okay, so now you got queen takes check.
Yeah.
Check.
And
then boom. Look at that. That's beautiful. Yeah. The king has nowhere to the king is stalemated, so the only thing she could do is take the knight, and then that's game. And so, man, that was a big victory for the Michigan Monsters, Devin. Yeah. We win that match by a half a point, I think, against this was Ohio, who I think last year wasn't as close. I don't think they had different players. I think they still had Storn. I believe they had Storn on the team, but Maggie Fing wasn't playing, and I think we won pretty handily last year against Ohio. But this year, very tough battle. I'm so glad that we were able to get that half point, and this is one of the key games to Michigan Monsters winning this last week's State Cup. Yeah,
I think it's this, and it was as soon as this game ended, I went and I jumped in watching your game where you got that draw by the 50 move repetition that also I think was a clutch thing. Without these two results going that way, we either would have tied or lost. So
yeah, and everybody out there, do not look at my game the draw. Do not look at that. That game, I missed everything, and even though it was a draw, it was a terrible game. And see, that's why I am streaming, and that's why you are on the Michigan Monsters, going for your second Eastern Conference championship this year. So, man, this has been a lovely interview, Dr. Camenares. And this was a great game that you played. Solidified this win. I had so much fun talking to you and getting to know you, and as well as everybody that's in the Michigan Chess Association family. Because a lot of people, of course, they're not familiar with you because you were formerly in New York. So I wanted everybody to get a chance to meet you, and this has been a blast.
Thanks.
To have this
I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed the conversation too. Next time I'm headed down towards Detroit, I'll definitely have to send you a message. Maybe we can get together for some blitz.
Oh man, yeah, for sure. Let me know.
Yeah.
I'm actually in Flint right now, though.
Oh, okay.
Even though I'm back and forth to Detroit a lot, I'm actually in Flint, Michigan at this moment. But everybody knows that I am 313 versus everybody for sure. and so we really appreciate you taking time out to show us your game and tell us a little bit about yourself. And it's been an honor. Thank you for joining us here on Michigan Chess Association.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and again, if you or anybody else is ever swinging near Alma, let me know and send me a message. I'm Science Squares on pretty much every platform. Okay. So I'm always down for a game of blitz.
Okay, man. I might. You know what? I'm doing so many. My stepson is a basketball player, so there's so many basketball tournaments all over Michigan, Grand Rapids. I don't know if that's past Alma, but we got Fort Wayne, Indiana. We got so many of these basketball tournaments all around. Hey man, I'm gonna hit you up if I'm passing Alma for sure, Devin. Right. I'm definitely gonna hit you up. I can't pass Alma without hitting my boy up. So I will definitely hit you up, and maybe we can go. You can take me to get something. I like to go somewhere and get me something to eat, man. You know,
sure. Yeah, it'd be my pleasure.
We go out get us something to eat, man, and kick it, man. So that would be lovely. All right, so to wrap it up here. Shout out to everybody that made this possible. Our president, Jeff Aldrich, and everybody on the Michigan Chess Association board. You guys know how dope you are. Appreciate it. Shout out to all of you who chose to watch this interview with me and Dr. Devin Camenares. Make sure you go get his book. I'm going to put this book up one more time. Let me put this book up here. Boom. Okay, boom. Let me get rid of that. Get rid of that. And let's put this book up. Where is the book? Boom. Bam. And bam! Make sure you get this book written by Dr. Devin Camenares, Out of This World Chess Puzzles. And let's talk about it. Get the book. Post some of those puzzles on Michigan Chess Association Facebook page. And let's see if we can solve those puzzles. Mm-hmm. Also, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the Michigan Chess Association Facebook page. Also, Michigan Chess Association Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to that channel. We also have a Twitter, Michigan Chess, at everything. I don't even think we have an Instagram, but go on Instagram anyway and type up Michigan Chess. If you see an Instagram page, follow the Instagram page. Next interview, we're going to have an interview with Asu. Asu was representing us in the Barber Tournament of Champions. He is representing us for all middle school students. He's going to be playing the best of the other states. So that's going to be our next interview. And then we're going to have the man, Jeff Aldrich, the president of Michigan Chess Association. All the great changes that happens in this state when it comes to chess, we're going to have him interview and give us a little bit of his background. Did you ever want to know where he's from, Jeff from? Where's his background? How does he love? He even have a brother that plays chess. We're going to get it dirty, deep down dirty. Does him and his brother have a rivalry? Who wins more games? We're gonna ask Jeff Aldrich that the next interview as well. So make sure you stay tuned and make sure you comment and like and subscribe to all the videos that we put out for Michigan Chess Association. It helps us to help you. All right, for Dr. Devin Camenares, I am Coach Brian, Implodian out.